here has ever walked into a room and feel like you don't belong?
Yes.
I know that feeling of imposter syndrome so well. My name is Kristin Gutierrez. I am a best-selling author. I am an impact coach, and for the last 20 years, I was a sales professional in our wonderful industry, language services. I am here to tell you a story about how I overcame imposter syndrome. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
But first, let's define imposter syndrome. It stops you in your tracks and it makes you feel like a fraud. So sometimes when you're facing imposter syndrome, you're like, how can I do this thing, right? April 17th of 2023 at 10 a.m., I was let go from my vice president of sales job, where I loved working for the company, I loved the people, and I honestly still feel very connected to them. I knew it wasn't personal, but at 10:10, when I hung up the Zoom meeting, I looked at my couch from across the room and I thought, man, I should curl up and take a nap, right? Can I be honest with you?
Yes.
I'm also the breadwinner of my family, so losing that kind of income was a pretty substantial blow. We also, maybe like some of you, live in our money. So despite making multiple six figures, we were living paycheck to paycheck. So losing that money really felt like a blow. Last year, we worked really aggressive to pay off our consumer debt, and we were able to afford buying my grandparents' home in Indiana. But we poured hundreds of thousands of dollars into this home that we didn't have to renovate. And I thought, yeah, no big deal. I'll just cash out refi with my W-2, high risk, high reward, right? So when my company ripped the paycheck away from me, I knew that I had to take action. You can seek comfort. We're human, right? So we're gonna seek comfort in something. In my couch, in the cookies, in the binge watching your favorite show. I chose to seek comfort in action. And while I hope this situation never happens to you, I've learned some strategies along the way that getting out of your own way and simply putting one step in front of the other every single day will result in, this case, overcoming imposter syndrome and being able to move forward. So what I want to share with you in the next few minutes is this concept of how to unlock greatness within your team by focusing on your mindset and the resilience and the confidence that comes with that, by getting out of your own way, i.e. taking action, and by asking for help, i.e. you have permission. So the definition of resilience is more or less just the concept of grit, right? And the idea that like we are tough. And if you think about like your mindset on a day-to-day and your discipline, how is it that you're able to work out every day or get back and shave after that baby, right? Or finally find a meal plan that works for you, or make 100 phone calls a day, right? So the concept of resilience is building a muscle. And when we learn to lean in to our purpose, and when we learn to attach our actions with our passions, that is where we reach fulfillment. There's this idea that if I asked any one of you, what would you say about your superhero strengths? If you actually stop and think about it for a second, what's a superhero strength of yours? Is it collaboration? Is it being accountable? Is it responsiveness or transparency? Think about you in your life and your job, and what are some of your strengths? Leaning into our strengths is a ninja strategy for building resilience and confidence to get our mindset right. Because in order to have the right mindset, now we can look at something like imposter syndrome and put the things in place in order to move forward and not be so stuck. So I want you to hold this idea of your superhero strength in your back pocket, and I want you to go back to work on Monday or whenever that is, and ask your colleagues to tell you, ask your leader to tell you, or if you're a leader in the room, ask your team to do this exercise with, amongst each other and whatever. Help each other identify their superhero strengths and your superhero strengths. This exercise in and of itself, now we can lean on our strengths, and this builds confidence. And confidence is a muscle. The more we use it, the stronger we become. So the other concept of, overcoming imposter syndrome, kind of not feeling like a fraud when you get fired as a vice president of sales in April, 2 months after you announce to the world that you're writing a book called Be a Better Sales Leader. So, had I not sought comfort in action, had I gotten in my head, had I been stuck, I don't think that best-selling book would have made it to Amazon, right? So here's some concepts of getting out of your own way that have worked a lot for me in these past several months. And actually, if I look at my career, they've worked throughout my career. As I've coached teams, I see these attributes in other team members that I know are really, really important and that they might apply to you too. This concept of the hamster wheel and overcoming productive procrastination. Let's kind of look at this for a second. Productive procrastination is this concept that we are actually getting things done, all right? Do you have a to-do list like I do on the left side of my desk or in your OneNote, right? And you've got lots of things to do, and there's the elephant in the room for you. There's that concept of what's the ugliest frog, yet you do everything else, right? Or you work from home and you do a load of laundry, let's be honest. Or you do the dishes, or you're actually feeling accomplished because you're doing something, but you're not doing the one thing. So I want you to think about this the next time you are suffering from imposter syndrome or just simply need to get out of your own way, that avoiding productive procrastination and doing the hard thing, doing the ugly thing is going to actually get you that much closer to your job. So one of my mentors has taught me this concept of get calls, do calls. And that applies to every single one of us in this room today, because actually having phone conversations with your prospects, with your clients, and understanding, okay, I don't have to sell them every single time I interact with them, but what if I call them? What if I physically pick up the phone and call them and ask them questions and check in on how their vacation was, right? Get calls with prospects, with existing clients, with people you haven't talked to in forever, with people who have ghosted you, and just have the meetings and move forward. A couple other strategies on the slide. Time management. I mean, I can do a whole session on time management alone. Looking at what are some good strategies, time blocking your calendar, color coding it, right? When are you most productive? Is it morning? Raise your hand. Is it afternoon? Raise your other hand. Or is it kind of end of day? Most? Okay, so of course, everyone's productive at different times. Find that time for you and block 90 minutes. You have permission. Block 90 minutes every single Monday through Friday on your calendar at that productive time, so that you can use those 90 minutes to get the things done that are just piling up on your desk, or spend some time creatively thinking. If you block that off and call it something catchy on your calendar so your colleagues don't book over the time block, right? But if you use that time wisely every single day, Monday through Friday, you will all of a sudden, within a very short amount of time, find that you're not feeling that overwhelming sense of oh my goodness, I have so much to do. You're starting to move the needle. And that's the point, is put one step in front of the other and start to move the needle. This is then seen in Daily Habits, the concept of the compound effect. It's a phenomenal book. Consistency compounds. The more we work out, the better we feel. The better we feel, the more we want to work out, right? You could use that for anything. So compounding, consistency, really looking at that. And I am a huge fan of celebrating wins, and not just the big wins, every win. this is kind of a silly story, but I went to the dog track. Yeah, who's been to the dog track? Okay. In Florida with my grandpa, we used to go every year. And I went one time and I was betting like you normally bet, $2 a race, right? And I was losing. And so I went up and I bet a boxed quinella for every dog in the race. He's like, Kristin, it was like a $100 bet. He's like, Kristin, we don't bet like that. So I won. Because the thing is, I hedged my bet and I actually was guaranteed to win. And I could read the odds good enough to know that if 2 favorites won, I was gonna like basically lose $2, right? Well, I was kept losing $2 anyway. But if 2 long shots won, I would have made a ton of money. So sure enough, I see you guys, like you've been to the dog track, right? Sure enough, a favorite and a long shot won or something in between. I made my money back and then a few bucks. And I started feeling successful. I started having fun again. I leaned into the idea of like celebrating your small wins, making a win, figuring out what are the wins. One of my favorite things to do with clients in workshops especially is to whiteboard wins. So I have them really think about, so you can apply this to your business next week, right? It's like, get with your team, get with the other leaders and like put on a whiteboard, put on a slide if you're all virtual like we are, and just be like, what are the wins that we've had lately? And I'm not talking about like the revenue generating wins, like those are obvious. Who helped who with a spreadsheet, right? Like who helped who with delivering a project? Who helped who when something was late and we really needed to get it out the door? Celebrate those wins. That will help with culture and a lot of things. So to start to wrap this up, you have permission, right? You have permission to ask for help, to not do it all yourself, to collaborate, and to delegate. So the next time that you're feeling imposter syndrome, think about the idea that like you can get out of your own way, you can adjust your mindset, and you can give yourself permission to help ask for help. This might be in the form of a mentor, like I've always been so blessed in this industry to be surrounded by so many people who were my boss turned mentor, who were clients turned mentor. Women in localization is obviously a huge thing for our industry, so many mentors available, right? I now pay for professional mentors in my own life, and you just don't have to do it all yourself. You've got colleagues, you've got team members, so figure out a way that you can lean into everybody else to get some help. I want to ask you real quick to take out your phones. Bring out your phones real quick, and then we'll wrap this up. Okay, and text the word strategy to the phone number 33777. Your iPhone might look, it might look a little weird at first, but yeah, just type in 33777 in the to box, type in strategy, and I am giving away my worksheet, which to help overcome imposter syndrome. So do it now, do it scared. Put one foot in front of the other. Remember, done is better than perfect. Get out of your own way, get out of your head, and LFG.